Have you ever wondered why?
When?
How much?
What if?
Well, you're in luck, because you're listening to the Hypotheticast.
3 best buds.
On a mission.
To ask all the questions?
And get all the answers.
I was born with both guns blazing, and I do think I'm amazing. You got the dignity to feel a little about yourself. I don't care what your preacher says. I got my own vicious ways. Only got one commandment and it goes, I'm killing it. I'm killing it.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hi, friends. It's me, David.
I am Mike.
I'm Emily.
And this is the Hypotheticast.
Yay.
Ha ha.
Ha ha. That is what you will do, listener, when you listen to these wonderful jokes. This week, It's chilly outside, and that's pretty appropriate. I turned down the outside so that we could talk about our theme this week, which is...
Cold.
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 The feeling of it.
Cold.
Not the
feeling
common
of it,
cold.
Perhaps the common cold.
Might sneak in there.
Cold.
I also want to clarify, it's not just chilly outside. It's -3 degrees outside, but it feels like -17 degrees outside.
Cool.
So if you're listening to this and you're not in Minnesota, good for you.
Must be nice.
We thought of this theme a few weeks ago, and we had no idea, but the weather has cooperated nicely, and so we're really feeling
Sent
it
us
today.
into a polar vortex.
Oh my gosh.
Let's talk about cold.
get into it.
What's a good cold thing though? What's your favorite cold thing? Let's not just be negative.
So we're
about
not
the
just
cold.
whining the whole
Yeah,
episode.
it's easy to whine.
It's easy to whine. I love bags of frozen peas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like both
Yes.
to eat because tasty, yes, but also to put on hand in summer.
Put on hand.
To put on hand. Like
There it is.
The best life hack that I know, and the one that makes me look like the craziest person, is to lay on the ground with packs of frozen vegetables on my wrists.
Yeah.
Because that, it cools down my blood because my blood's circulating through my wrists. That feels so good.
Lay on the ground and do
Yeah,
that.
on the ground. You have to lay on the ground.
I sleep with an ice pack sometimes, like in one of those
Yeah,
areas.
exactly. No, that
by my
works.
neck.
It's just more fun if it's peas.
Is it?
Yeah. Also,
Yeah.
I've heard if you drop your phone in water, you can put it in a sack of frozen peas.
Yeah.
And it will help it.
Well, it won't bring it back to life, but it will make it smell
comfort
like
it.
peas.
Yeah. It'll be surrounded by peas, which is not a bad thing. They're a great addition to any meal.
That's what RIP stands for, right? Is
Rest in peas.
Yeah, exactly. Emily, what's your favorite cold thing?
Well, I'm going to be basic and also just honest and say that my favorite cold thing is ice cream because obviously I love all kinds of ice cream. I love soft serve. I love
Hard serve.
Dairy Queen, classic Kemp's, chocolate chip, cookies and cream, something like that. I love Sebastian Joe's.
Are you just going to list ice
Is there
cream
any that you
brands that you
don't
like?
like?
That's a great
call 'em
question.
out.
Okay, any kind of ice cream. I mean, this should not come as a surprise to anybody, but any kind of ice cream that's like low fat. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
you're going in the garbage.
It's like frozen water.
Cauliflower ice cream.
Yeah. I kind of prefer the classic flavor. I think that like ice cream tastes good with like chocolate and caramel and nuts, that sort of thing. Sometimes
nuts,
some
okay,
fruit.
okay. So when you say classic, you mean at least 5 things.
No, but I just
know
mean
what you
like,
mean. Like
you-
now there's like hundreds
Yeah.
of flavors, which is I think it's
Okay.
fun, but it is kind of overwhelming.
it's overwhelming, and sometimes it's just like that doesn't need to happen. I guess the main offender, in my opinion, is Dairy Queen with their Blizzard flavors. Like, we do not need a Nerds Blizzard, and anybody who says otherwise is wrong and working for the
There
devil.
must be
Okay,
someone,
take your
right?
anti-nerd agenda.
I love nerds. I love nerds.
I always forget. It's just Nerds Blizzards that
It's
you
just
hate.
because
Okay.
why would you put that with vanilla? Ew.
Good question.
They're fruity.
It's like a peaches and cream.
Yeah.
No,
exactly
it's
like
not.
that.
They're sugar. That's what they are.
Yeah, which also goes well with vanilla in cookies and cakes.
Here's a cold thing I love.
What?
I love those science presentations where they like freeze a balloon.
Yes.
Like they're like, ooh, they like bring out a kettle of like liquid nitrogen and they're like, hey kids, science is cool.
Yeah.
And then they like blow up a balloon and then they dunk it in there and then they take it out and like throw it on the stage and it shatters.
That's
And
so cool. cool.
And it inspires kids all over the world to shatter balloons.
Not to go into STEM, just to shatter
I do love how
balloons.
those presentations are like, we're gonna inspire kids to go into STEM. And it's like kids are just like, yeah, fuck up that balloon.
Next, make a gun. And it's like, oh, stop.
But really, that's what they like. I mean,
Yeah.
they like it when you blow stuff up or shatter it.
Yeah.
But it is a lot of fun to watch. I like the properties of liquid nitrogen.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dry ice is pretty cool too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of cold things to like.
I actually found out because we wanted dry ice for our prom in high school. We had a little bridge people walked over, and we were like, we got to have some smoke under that thing or something. And I actually drove to like the different supermarkets around town, and they gave us dry ice because it comes packed in with the food that they get.
They gave it for free?
Yeah, well, I was like, we're just poor little prom high schoolers, and they were like, here's
need
all
a
the dry ice
spooky
we have.
bridge.
Yeah, they gave us a
Isn't
big
that
wagon.
like irresponsible? Can't you like hurt yourself?
Yeah, I thought
with
it was
dry
dangerous.
ice?
David, I was valedictorian
No,
in
I
my
know
high school.
you-
I was a very respectable
I trust
kid.
you. This grocery store giving dangerous things to teens for free is
I mean,
who I'm
they
just
just-
a
were
little-
I just immediately pictured like a gawky teen grocery store employee being like, this kid is asking for some dry ice, boss. I don't know if we can give it to him. And then the boss is like, let me take a look. And he's like, is that Michael John Larson, valedictorian? And then he gives you like a huge carton of dry ice and shakes your hand.
Yeah, right. The key.
Thanks for
give me
coming
the
in.
key to service food in Fergus Falls.
Should we do a segment?
Let's do a segment.
Yeah.
What's our first segment? What's it called?
It's called Would You Rather.
Would you rather? That's right, Emily. That is the next segment. You did it. You win. This is the part of the show where we choose between two or more deceptively simple options. We've got a bunch of listener submissions this week, and I'm going to start it off strong and start it off fast with Libby Malone. Would you rather have to eat all hot foods cold or all cold foods hot?
Oof.
So I think what this means, for clarification, is if the default method of preparation is cold, then because like cold pizza feels like a weird middle gray area for this question because it's not supposed to be cold.
Yeah, I think cold pizza would be a hot food cold.
Yeah, that's a hot food cold.
Yeah.
Right, which I love.
Question, what about room temp things?
I think they stay the same.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Neutral
neutral
foods don't
stays the same.
change.
Great.
Yeah.
So then I'm for sure going to go with I'd have to eat cold food hot. And here's
Okay.
why. I know I just talked about how much I love ice cream.
I was going to
but
say hot ice cream.
that sucks. But I would be basically giving up ice cream, I guess, because there are a lot of other desserts and sweet things that I love. So that would be sad. That would be the saddest part of this. However, I like so many of my favorite foods are like warm, prepared, like stick to your ribs comfort foods like mashed potatoes, mac and cheese, pizza. Having to not get to eat those foods at their maximum ideal temperature
Yeah.
would be so sad to
Yeah,
me.
that's a tough one.
And
That's a blow.
what else is cold food besides ice cream is my real question. Because like a salad, that's like room temperature.
Yeah, that's true.
So-
Often a little chilled, but you're right. Let's see. Cold foods that have to be cold, like
It's like
milk.
smoothies.
You always have to like.
You're like cold. You couldn't
Like
have
you
a
always have
cold,
to warm up
cold
milk.
glass of Coca-Cola. You have
Really?
to eat hot
Yeah,
Coca-Cola.
I don't know because it does say food, and I don't know if I was thinking of ice water, and I was like, no, that's a drink.
Consumables.
What does say food? Food
Yeah.
is different than drink.
Food, I think it's the same.
I don't know.
If it includes beverages, that would suck even more. But I mean, like room temperature water is fine. That's what I drink most of the time.
Yeah.
This is a good challenge. What foods are you supposed to eat cold?
Gazpacho.
What's that? Yeah, the cold soup business,
Yeah, that's true. There's all that.
which I think is weird anyway.
Fresh meat, like deli meat. You'd have to like warm up every sandwich you ever made.
Yeah.
Because that's cold.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be, refrigerated things, basically. Things that have to live in the fridge.
I do really like an orange out of the fridge is particularly like fruit that's been chilled, especially in the summer is really good.
You know what I like? A nice hot orange. Just
Yeah.
pop that boy in the microwave.
I was just going to say, yeah.
Oh, you just love
Ew.
that.
Have it
'cause then,
explode.
the problem with oranges is that they're like so hard to peel. Like I can never do it and look like a human. And so if you just put it in the microwave, then it kind of just like gets mushy, and you take it out and you just squish it like a
Ew.
really, really ripe banana, and it just squirts out the sides, and then you lap it up.
That's disgusting. I
Hot
hate
orange.
it.
Emily, I think you're right. I would rather
Yeah.
have to eat all cold foods hot because I can think of less that I'm really, really into besides ice cream, which again, it might be good.
No.
Boil it. It could be good.
I mean, it would
I don't want that.
it would just
like-
be like sweet soup.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Well,
I think
I
I'd
don't
just
want
eat
that.
cookies. I just eat other desserts.
You could have those things.
I like a lot of desserts, so I'd be okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to say goodbye to hot food
Really?
Okay.
because
Bold.
I'm going to eat foods cold because that's mostly what I do now.
Okay.
One of the reasons that I don't drink coffee is because I don't like to wait for that middle zone of when it's not too hot to drink, but not too cold to be like, what's the point? With hot things, oh, is it still hot? I don't know. I'll better heat it up more. Now it's not the same. Now it's mushy and gross. I actually tend to eat a lot of cold foods now because it's just more, I don't have to worry
You know
about
what
heating
it's
them up.
gonna
I'm just
be.
like, it's
Yeah.
just there it is. It's ready. I eat it now. I don't have to do any preparation or like I can pre-make it and just keep it. I do that with my lunches for work. Like I don't have to heat them up and I'd rather just like not worry about it.
Yeah.
Keep it nice and chilled.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. And I've always loved cold pizza, maybe even more than the hot thing.
Sometimes it depends on the pizza, but I agree sometimes. Yeah, totally. The sensation of eating a cold thing is its own reward in some ways. I know a lot of people, they love, melty stuff, but when you drink a cold thing or eat a cold thing, that's kind of exciting too.
It's nice in the summer.
Yeah.
It could be exciting.
Yeah. Next question comes from Sean Dillon. Would you rather always feel cold or always have a cold? Not contagious. You just always have the symptoms of having a cold. So you're not going to give everybody around you a cold, but you always have a cold or you are always chilly in your body.
That sucks.
Both of these suck a lot.
They do. I have to go with always feeling cold, even though I hate that. First of all, because I do run cold. Like I feel cold a lot already. So it wouldn't be a new sensation.
That sounds so terrible though, because even if you put on coats and coats and coats, you still feel cold.
I know, but
never ending
having a cold,
Sisyphusian battle.
I hate having a cold. It's the worst. Also, it affects my voice.
Oh,
And
no.
that sucks.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point.
Again, it would suck, but I feel like in either of these cases, you would get used to it to a certain amount, and I would rather get used to feeling physically cold than having a cold all the time.
Right. Because even if you're not contagious, like you'd still be coughing and sniffling and having boogers run down.
Yeah,
And
boogers.
how
so,
do you
like,
convince people that you're not?
yeah, they'd be like, go home.
Yeah.
And I mean,
No,
like,
it's magic.
I mean, I
won't
could
make
get
you
some
sick.
like sick days out of it, but like at some
Oh,
point
yeah,
they're
there you
like,
go.
you gotta work, man. And I'd
Yeah.
be like, I'm not gonna get you sick.
Right. You can't be like, hey, friends, let's hang out, or like date. Let's like go on a
kiss
date
Yeah,
with
ever.
me. Yes.
Ever kiss
I'd
I'd be like,
anyone.
I promise I'm not contagious, even though there's snot running out of my nose.
But what if you were cold all the time, like in your body, and then you kiss someone and they were like, "Are you dead?"
They
I
would be like-
already run pretty cold. I actually do have bad circulation. I get it's so there's a name for it's like a syndrome where
Yeah,
I get white
Raynaud's
fingers.
syndrome.
Yeah, and I like
White
literally
fingers.
like my fingers look like they have frostbite in the winter, but
Sure.
and they are kind of numb, but it takes a while for the blood to get into them. I mean that is an issue, but
Right.
like I feel like that'd be easier to work around than like constantly being
Yes.
like booger man.
Yeah.
Booger man.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Again, because I mean, I've always lived, I think growing up in a house that never used enough heat taught me that being cold is okay because my parents were stingy. Shout out to Helen.
Yeah, mine too. We kept it down at like 55 or something like that.
It's like I wear winter clothes and boots in the house.
Yeah.
And so I think that prepared me for a life of living in Minnesota and, not having high utility bills. It would be kind of weird to think about. I was trying to think about summers where, it gets like 90, 95 here. And I'd still be cold.
I think that sounds great.
That sounds kind of nice. And I feel like I would kind of lord it over everyone.
Yeah.
Especially because I'd be used to it at that point. It would just be my default.
And also being cold, you tend to be sharper and quicker.
Yes.
And when people are
I'd be so
overheated, they're a little bit. So you would like have one over on everybody on like
Oh my
really
God.
hot days and everybody's groggy
Yes.
and slow. You'd be like,
Yes.
I'm sharp as hell.
Right, I'm the sharpest man in summer. That's what the movie that they make about me. I'd be like, do these times tables real fast, Jimmy, and he'd be like, I can't, it's too hot, and I'd be like, bam, I already did them.
Yeah.
Easy, take that, Jimmy. Now I'm smart. Yeah. Oh, I'd go to so much summer school. Oh shit.
It's a vendetta against Jimmy.
I hate Jimmy. He's always beaten me by just a little.
The warmest boy in
I'd
town.
finally get the edge. Yeah, hot Jimmy. Hate that guy. Any other thoughts about colds?
I
do think Emily, you kind
colds.
of nailed it. Both of you did, about how it's just that having a cold all the time is so bad. The only excuse for that is if you don't see anyone ever. I guess if it were just a mild cold and it was like sniffles, you know, and you weren't like sneezing and coughing and drooling all the time. But like that's what having a cold is.
Do you drool a lot when you have a cold?
Yeah, whenever I'm sick. That's how you know. My beard's just drenched in drool. It's so nasty.
No.
Even if I just have a tummy ache, it just starts coming out. I can't stop. I got another question for you.
You did?
Do you want it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. This question is from Sean, but not Sean Dillon.
Ooh,
this question is actually
new
from
Sean.
Liz Council. She did the work.
Okay.
But she says, this is from Sean.
Got it.
Would you rather have 10 inches of snow or half an inch of ice? Clarification, or rather, subsequent dialogue. Liz says, where? Sean says, everywhere.
So indoors.
I guess.
No, I take that to mean like on the roads.
Yeah,
is how I take it to mean. So like in those hours right after those two things would form. You know, we've had a lot of ice around because we had some like rain and then like a thaw of the snow, but then it got really cold. So there's like pools of ice pretty much everywhere you look.
Yeah.
But
it would be that everywhere.
Is this always forever?
Well,
and
let's
ever?
just say for tomorrow.
if you knew one of those two things was going to happen tomorrow, which would you prefer?
10 inches of snow.
Yeah, me too.
Snow day.
Yeah, snow day.
I'm not going to work if there's a snowstorm.
I think that when it comes to winter driving, which I have a lot of feelings about, mainly because there were a few years there where I was very bad at it, and it showed in my cars and my car insurance and my anxiety levels. I think the thing about snow that is at least kind of nice is that to most people, more than 2 or 3 inches of snow communicates like danger. Everybody will accept like, oh, it is snowing a lot. There's still going to be assholes with their like huge trucks and 4-wheel drive who are like, oh, it's nothing. And it's like, well, congratulations, Jeff, for you. But the rest of us are driving compact cars that are old and we need you to calm down.
Right.
But most people will be like, oh, sure. But ice, people are dumb, and they're, even if they know that it's there, they still like, if you can't see it, and if like, you know, there's nothing currently coming out of the sky, you're like, oh, it's fine. It's just sneakier. I think people can forget it more easily. And also tripping and falling, that's like a big fear of mine. And as we all get older, that's not like a real thing that happens.
Bones.
Like people, old people slip on the ice all the time.
It is
And then they like
dangerous.
are in the hospital for a month. Like it's not just, oh, I fell and
Right.
looked silly. It's like, oh, there goes your literal bone.
Right, exactly.
Because you fell onto ice because there's no snow anywhere.
Yeah,
it's
no
just ice
cushion.
everywhere. That's death. People will die.
Ice is
Sean,
bad.
people will die.
Well, he gave
Can't
us the
have
choice.
that. Well, then I guess I'm choosing snow too.
Also, 10 inches of snow means giant mountains in like mall parking
Oh yeah,
lots.
those are fun.
So
the
much
dream.
fun.
That's where I live.
Yep, that is where he lives, listeners.
He makes
David
a
has moved out of the
home.
apartment and lives in a mountain of
It's a little
snow.
more soundproof, which is why I
it's so
decided to move
quiet.
it. Yeah, I love that. Except for the crunch of my friends trying to break through the top, but they'll never get me.
You need ventilation for that fireplace you have.
No way.
It's also nice because when they're in like a mall parking lot, it's snow that's been like driven on a lot, so it's kind of like gray.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
It's nice and gray.
That's nice.
Nice.
I love to just be in a big pile of dirty snow and eat a hot orange. That's like my favorite winter activity. Hot oranges and nasty slush.
Gross.
Wait, yeah, did you want to? I don't think you got to say much, David.
Oh,
Did you
snow.
wanna-
Snow for sure. Snow's more
Snow,
fun.
snow,
Snow's less
snow.
dangerous. And I have a job that I commute to, so I would get a snow day. Like it's a win-win-win-win-win for everyone. And then the kids love it and they get to play in it, and David
kids
loves it,
love
and I
it.
get to go to my little house in the mall parking lot and eat a hot orange and get dirty.
It's time for the next segment on the Hypotheticast. It's called The Meat. I'm in charge of it. This is where we jump into a meatier subject involving our theme this week. This week's theme is cold. So here's the premise. I'm going to lay it out for you.
Ready.
I'm going to let you have some flexibility with it, but the general idea is that you have to spend a year or more, if you want, of your life in Antarctica. you can come up with the reason why you want to live there, what exactly you want to do. If you want to go it on your own, you can. If you can bring stuff with you, but for the reasons of the magical wizard that runs this segment of our show, he's making you live for a year in Antarctica. I want you to tell me how you think your life would change, what you think you would do to pass the time, what new things you might try living in this extreme cold environment.
I think probably my plan of action would be I would need to load up on books and music.
Yeah.
I don't know how books though, because I can't like bring hundreds of books with me.
You could have an e-reader loaded with
just get an e-reader and however I need to store just as many books as possible. And I think I would just try to like really lean into introspection and reading a lot and consuming a lot of like art and culture and stuff like in the little ways that I could, because I think that would be the only thing that would like keep me going.
Yeah.
I would still be so lonely and sad though.
You can
my
bring
God.
Tanner.
Okay.
Oh, can I bring Tanner?
Yeah, you can bring anyone you want.
Could
you
I
just
bring
have to.
my cat?
Yeah, you can bring anyone you want. I guess I didn't say that, but this being that it's a hypothetical scenario, you can bring them. And I'm curious about what you think like you and Tanner's life would be.
That's fair.
Like how you think Tanner would react and how do you think he would feel about having to move to Antarctica?
I think if he knew that I had to, he would come with.
Yeah.
I would feel a little bad though making many more than that people. Like, you know what I mean? Like I can't just be like, for my own comfort and pleasure, I demand that you 20 people move with me. Like, that's not really how that works.
I would totally come.
You know what? Actually, okay, if Tanner and I went together and we had like a year where neither of us were like working on anything else, I bet we could like write a book together.
Yeah.
I bet we could like record a podcast together. We get along. We have a lot of common interests. And we're both like creative people, but we don't often like... You know, we've talked casually about like, we should make a podcast about that, or like, we should do this project together. But anytime we're actually hanging out, we just want to like relax and have fun together. So like having a time where we could like also work together and also where everything could just, that would be really cool.
Have you thought about what kind of book you would want to write together? Like,
no, that's tougher. But we have talked about wanting to do a podcast about marriage.
Marriage in Antarctica. There's a hook for you.
Yeah, honestly, like it'd be the only one probably.
Yeah, we have a really healthy, interesting perspective on it, and we've like thought about it a lot, and that would be fun. Okay. So I'm changing my answer.
You're warming up to it.
Okay.
It's a year of getting to make cool stuff with Tanner. A year where we didn't have to do anything else. We didn't have to go to regular work.
Yeah, you didn't even go outside.
I really think by the end of that year, I'd be like a mess emotionally.
Even with Tanner.
Yeah.
And Henry, your cat.
Yeah.
But as long as you recorded all of it, then you could look back and be like, dang,
Could be really interesting.
That was wild.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Actually, maybe we'd wait to write the book until after the experience.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. I got some stuff.
Oh, David, you do?
2 things in particular.
Oh, tell me now.
First, I have, ever since I was in college, I've been fascinated by Lake Vostok.
Yeah.
The giant underground, 2.5 mile underground lake in Antarctica.
Like it goes down for 2.5 miles?
No, it is 2.5 miles under ice.
Okay.
Like it's so down there. We've never been to it, but we've like poked down there to see.
How do we know?
You like drill and then they can like pull up a sample.
And apparently they have confirmed there are over 3,500 different kinds of DNA down there.
I just
of
read
like
something about that.
microorganisms and some that are multicellular, maybe even fish.
Aren't they species that like literally don't exist anywhere else?
Yeah, there's some extinct things. There
like
are
it's
things
like
that
unique.
It's some people use it as proof that aliens can exist because it's like Jupiter's moon Europa. I think that's the one. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's pretty cold on Europa.
But it's like well, if something can live here that's like our DNA, then maybe something can live in space somewhere that's not here. So people are pretty excited about that. I just want to go down there and look at it. So I think the reason that I am in Antarctica is because I've been sent on the first mission to drill down into. A lot of people think that's controversial. So if you're a scientist or an environmentalist or something and you're mad at me, this is hypothetical. I'm not actually going to drill down in there and go there because they think it might destroy the ecosystem that exists, and observation creates problems.
But if you're an eccentric billionaire with a bunch of money to burn, David is your guy. Throw him down that hole.
Just throw me in that hole. I want to see. I just want to look at, maybe there are fish. Maybe James Cameron's down there.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He's already there.
He's like, beat you.
I'm filming Avatar 54.
Are you going down just like a little chute that just fits you in like a flashlight?
It's like a little. I'm picturing a little drill, like a little drill that I sit in. It's like a little bobcat,
Okay.
but it's a drill, and I just sit in it and I drive it down, and
it's
it just
waterproof.
drills down, and it's waterproof, yeah. And I drill all the way down into this lake, and then I come out and I observe and I see what's there because I'm so curious. That's like deep sea stuff, and this lake are like my planets. I want to see them. I want to know what's there.
Terrifying about that prospect is once you get down there and like turn on your light or whatever, you are 2 miles away from anything that could help you.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
So like if it's actually just like a big demon monster,
Well, yeah, that's true.
you did.
I did.
He could maybe trick it through a game of wits.
Yeah, I think that could be real nice or real terrible, but a very, very cool experience in every sense of the word cool. I think the other thing that I would do would be I'd get really good at building quincies or like the quinsy. I don't remember what they're called, but like a house made out of ice.
Yeah.
Because I think that's it's a very useful survival skill in Antarctica if you're out doing observations of some kind and then you need a quick shelter. Being able to build one of those is cool. But also it's a useful skill in Minnesota for fun. So like if I got really good at it, I could just be like, hey, it snowed. You guys want to go build a house outside and hang out? I just think that's really fun.
Useful for fun.
I would have a great useful for fun skill, and I think that would be it would make me a lot more popular.
Oh yeah.
Which is my goal.
I had some specific thoughts. I also just want to give this opportunity to shout out to the isolated corners of the earth. I'm very fascinated by them.
Oh, I thought maybe that was a book or a podcast.
It's just the actual places on earth where there is no one or very few people. I find those places very fascinating. I will literally scour Google Earth. Like I'll just be like, show me Antarctica. And I'll just like look around. I'll be like, oh, and it'll like be like, oh, there was a base here like during World War II. And it's crazy to me that people like in pre-modern times were there. Like I just watched the show The Terror. It's mostly about how dumb white men are. But they show up and there are actual like people living in Antarctica. There's native people that live there. And those are people that like, they just live there. Like without modern technology, they live in Arctic climates. And it's insane to me that that's possible.
Yeah.
And I'm fascinated by that.
Cool.
Especially because now if you Google like, what do I need to buy? It would be like $3,000 coat from REI with like weird technology in it.
Or you could just slaughter some seals and like learn how to make clothes out of them. Like, so specifically though, for me, obviously, I would want to do an immersive theater version of The Thing, one of my favorite movies. You're all invited to that. We're going to reenact The Thing. I would also use it as the opportunity to do a version of a prank that I've been dreaming about my whole life.
Yes, this is what I want.
So before I go, I would break into like the Smithsonian or some museum that had a lot of dinosaur bones. And I would steal a bunch of dinosaur bones. Right. Probably ones they weren't using, like just some ones they wouldn't miss. Like I don't want to upset any research
I
projects.
guess that's fair. There probably are lots of dinosaur
there's probably
bones
like stacks in the basement. They're like, I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
they're all just labeled with question marks.
Yeah,
like is it too much? Are we doing too much with the dinosaur bones?
Like should we back off?
We have enough so far. Like we don't
want to
need
hit him
them
over the head with it or anything.
So I'd take a sack of those and I'd put it in my luggage
with a money symbol on it.
I'd go, so people, he's just a bank robber.
He's just robbing a bank. Those aren't dinosaur bones. It's just spiky money.
So I'd get down there and then I would live my life on the base. And then one day I would set out on a trip, multi-day trek across the ice to an ice crevasse that reaches down into the depths of Antarctica. And I would chuck these dinosaur bones down into the hole. And also I would throw down like bits of modern technology, like a toaster, like some Pop-Tarts, like some DVDs, and just like...
I like that those are the three things.
Yeah. Those are...
I like that Pop-Tarts and toaster, like they go together, and then there's a DVD.
Well, I wanted to give the whole spectrum of technology.
That's the big three.
Pop-Tarts, toasters, and DVDs.
Food, kitchen appliances, and media. Yeah, that's true. It pretty much covers it.
Then I would kick some snow in over them, and then I would go back to the base and be like, what were you doing? I'm like, I was taking a whiz. Like, don't worry about it.
For days.
Yeah.
So then I would wait thousands of years.
And then wake up.
And I would freeze myself in the ice.
Lake. Yeah, you'd go down there.
And then scientists would find these bones along with the modern technology remnants, and they would be like, what the hell is this? They'd be just like blown away. Because infamously, it's hard to date exactly when bones are from. Like these dinosaur bones are from like 1.4 to 1.2 million years ago, which is like a long time ago. And yet when you like, that's a huge range of years. And so if they found these bones, they'd be like, we don't know when they're from, but clearly they had Pop-Tarts. Like that would be crazy. Like that would blow some minds.
I really like this idea. And what I wish, and this is a lot more work, I think, on your part, but I think
more than the Dino Bone heist.
I mean, that's a lot of work.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong. Heists are not easy, especially when they involve the DBs. But I think if you built a skeleton of like the dinosaur, like using the Pop-Tarts in a in the toaster, or like
make it clear,
making a little, I mean, and obviously that's staged, but like unburying a dinosaur, putting a DVD in a DVD player is the greatest thing that could ever happen to an archaeologist.
Yeah, no, that's solid.
Like, because it would just make them laugh so much. They'd be like, wait, somebody thousands of years ago did this just so I would be tricked.
So yeah, that's the main thing I would want to do while I was down there. And I think it would take me a good year to just like, figure out the logistics of all that.
Yeah. I think it's definitely realistic though that the easiest, simplest part would be robbing a museum.
That's pretty straightforward.
That's the
pre-credit sequence to the movie version of this.
Not a toaster. It's a toaster oven.
Okay.
And what the dinosaur is putting in is a 6-inch sheet pan of dino chicken nuggets.
I thought you were going there.
That is the true prank. True prank. While another dinosaur sits aside eating dinosaur eggs, oatmeal.
Oh my
that stuff
God.
is so good.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, Emily,
it's like oatmeal. Instant oatmeal. You make it, and then there's little colorful dinosaur eggs in it.
Like
and
real fossils.
Then the
that
dinosaurs,
are very expensive.
they come out of it as you're eating the oatmeal, and they greet you.
I feel like you're both
Say, "Have a nice day."
lying to me in different ways.
There is truth
so
in
fun.
it. Inside.
I don't know if I'm willing to investigate what part of that is true.
2 lies and a lie.
Should we do our next segment?
I think that we should do our next segment.
Wonderful.
I was going to take off.
This next segment is called Would You Blanket? It is a segment where two of us offer a scenario to the third person. And then we let the scenario play out. We make it better or worse. And we get to a magical equilibrium space and we all feel deeply fulfilled.
Usually,
Mike, you are the subject.
It's me?
Yes.
Sure is.
This week we are going to ask you, would you brave it?
Brave it. Okay.
So it's wintertime.
Yes.
And you are just sitting in your home and you hear a knock on the door. You go to the door.
Is it midnight?
I was just going to ask that.
No, it's a weekend. It's like 1 p.m. You just had lunch. You hear a knock at the door and you answer it. And it is this guy who is so cool.
Wait, describe the guy.
Okay. So he's tall.
Okay.
And he's wearing all shades of blue.
Oh, okay.
And a top hat.
Oh, okay.
A very shiny blue top hat.
Tell me more.
That's cool.
He has a bow tie.
Okay.
He has very pronounced high cheekbones.
Oh,
Nice.
okay.
Yeah, that makes it cool.
And he just has like a vibe. Like you're like, who are you?
Sure.
And he says, I'm one cool guy. And that's the only name you ever get out of him. He does like a really quick magic trick, just like a simple one.
Like close-up magic, not like
just like
he's
sleight
not
of
a
hand.
wizard.
No, like sleight of hand. Like he
okay.
just like makes a coin disappear or something. And you're like, okay, all right, what's up? And he says,
Is that what he does first? Like you open the door and he just does a magic trick.
Yeah. He introduces himself, does a magic trick.
I love that.
And then he says, Mike, I have a challenge for you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a prize. And this prize is one that, if you win it, will bring you great, great joy. All I can tell you is that it involves Taco Bell and cold hard cash. So he doesn't give you a lot of details about the prize, but he's like pretty insistent that you will love it, and you trust him.
I trust him.
He's cool.
You do. He's really cool. So he says, but first you have to complete a series of challenges.
Okay.
And he tells you the first one. The first one is he needs you to take a walk around your block. It is tomorrow, so it's like negative something.
Yeah.
Take a walk around your block wearing only shorts and a t-shirt and shoes and eating an ice cream cone. So
can I just be eating an ice cream?
Sure. That's very British. Can I have an ice cream?
Yeah.
Or honestly, it's more fun to eat out of a bowl while you're walking around.
Sure, that's fine. You can eat it however you want, but you have to eat some ice cream and walk around your block. So it's not going to take you a long time, but you're only wearing shoes, shorts, and a t-shirt.
Might be a 10-minute walk.
Would you brave it?
So he just says it's a series of challenges. Is Taco Bell a sponsor or?
He's very vague about the details.
That's the most mysterious part about this to me is how it's Taco Bell involved.
He just threw out the name Taco Bell, which really that's how he keeps you hooked.
Yeah, I'll do it.
You brave it?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean that first challenge is very survivable and seems reasonable. So I'm not scared of that. So bring it on.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Cool. You get to about halfway. So you get to the other side of the block.
Oh, okay.
You're walking. It's getting pretty cold. You're eating that ice cream out of it. What do you think? Are you eating a cone or are you eating it out of a bowl?
I think I'm eating a Klondike bar.
Nice.
Does that count as an ice cream?
Yeah, I think it's actually very appropriate.
Yeah,
because,
exactly.
What
Right.
would you do? So you get about halfway. You get to the other side and you're like, yes, I'm doing it. I'm pretty cold, but I'm definitely going to make it. And as you turn the corner to the last leg and you're like, yes, thank goodness, you turn left and you realize that you've just turned the first corner again and that you've got 3/4 of a block to walk again.
Oopsie.
That there's something a little bit not right about how long this block is taking you to walk around and you're never getting back to the house. And you hear a little that sounds a lot like it could be that one cool guy, but it's ethereal. It's kind of in your head. Maybe you're not sure. Do you continue to brave the challenge?
You just said I can't get back to the house. Don't I have to?
At any point you can say, I quit.
Okay.
And then he will say, you are released.
Here's what I'm thinking. The going around the block with those clothes on in negative freezing temperatures is doable. If I'm stuck out for longer than that, though, it does become dangerous for my extremities and for myself in general. If I can't get inside, I guess I could knock on some random houses if it gets desperate. I'm intrigued by the fact that reality is not behaving the way it should. That's kind of weird.
It's fun.
So I'm going to keep going a little bit longer with the idea that maybe I'll have to hole up in a random house to not die. What else you got?
All right. So you keep going. You make a couple more turns. And this time, right as you're about to make that final turn.
So I'm just walking around the same block.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just keep walking past.
Right.
It's like being lost in the woods in a fantasy movie where you just keep seeing the same trees.
But right as you're about to make that final turn, you hear a pop noise and the one cool guy appears before you. He does another small magic trick. And then...
Wait, what? Describe the magic trick.
This one, he has a little bird that he puts in his pocket and then snaps his fingers and then opens the pocket and the bird's gone.
Oh no, it's dead. I've seen the Prestige. That bird's dead.
So he does that. And then he's like, congratulations. Your fortitude kept you going. Let me take you to the next challenge. And then he magics you to one of the beautiful lakes in Minneapolis.
Am I still wearing the same clothes?
No, actually, when you are magicked, when you appear at this lake, you're wearing regular what you would wear outside in the winter. And he says that there is a small hole somewhere in this lake. And if you have to find it and reach your arm into it and pull out what you find.
Yes.
So it's cold, but you're at least dressed slightly more appropriately. And it's a lake in Minneapolis, which they're decent, but they're not, gigantic. So it's not necessarily going to take you forever. Would you brave this challenge?
I have to reach my hand into a hole and take out what I
ice.
find in the
Yep.
ice.
On the lake.
I'm
There's a
sure
hole
this will
somewhere.
be fine. I'm sure it'll be nothing weird. Again, because apparently, by continuing on the first challenge, that was it.
Right.
Again, while it has a lot of potential for danger and malfeasance, I think I'm going to go ahead and accept the challenge. Because I have two hands, I can always get it replaced with a robot hand if it gets snapped off. I'll stick my hand in that hole.
You put your hand in that hole and you feel something kind of crunchy and it's crinkly and you're like, oh, it's like tissue paper or something.
Sure.
So you pull it out and it's a burrito.
Okay.
It's a burrito from Taco Bell. And it says, "Eat me, you dick."
Wow.
Like it speaks or it has a message written
it says
on
that
it.
written on it.
Okay.
Yeah,
But you can tell that if it could speak, it's kind of an angry, grumpy little burrito.
I
And it
know what you
probably
mean.
would say that. You take a little bite and it tastes like a Taco Bell burrito and it's great.
I mean, let's be realistic. It was fine.
Okay, it was fine.
It burritos aren't great.
Adequate. It tastes a little angry, but mostly it's fine.
Okay.
And you feel that same feeling that you just felt where this one cool guy is sort of teleporting you to another place. And as you travel through this extra dimensional space with him, he says, "You have also passed my test of bravery.
Oh, that was easy.
Congratulations. You ate Taco Bell, the real challenge. But now, time to test your brains." Also, he didn't sound like this before. Sorry, I gave him a different voice.
That's fine.
He'll have a different voice every time, too. That's what makes him so cool. Oh, he also does another magic trick. This one involves sawing himself in half.
Okay, cool.
It's pretty cool.
And he's still in half for the rest
Yeah,
of the time.
it's just the top half of him now,
That's good.
and the bottom half of him got left behind at the lake.
Good.
So now it's one cool guy, so it's one half a cool guy. And you get to this palace made of ice. It's like made of ice blocks. It's similar to the one that happens at the fair in St. Paul or whatever, where you can walk through it. It's like people
Winter
size.
Carnival.
The Winter Carnival. Thank
Ice
you. Yes.
Palace, yeah.
And he says, "I've created this for you. It's a giant escape room. I'm going to lock you inside.
Okay.
And you're going to have to escape in an hour. If you don't get out, I get to choose one of your family members to make sick for the rest of their lives." Rude. Do you brave it?
Wow, so it's not just the promise of the prize anymore.
No,
There's also a
there's
threat.
Now there's some stakes.
I mean, I do like the idea of a escape room, but I'm not going to let one of my family members get sick.
They're just going to get sick.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't trust this magic man.
They're just going to get sick.
Yeah, he's gonna get
I'm going to
sick.
say no.
Literally
I'm going
mean
to say no to
anything.
that
That's
actually, because as much as I love escape rooms, like the stakes are not just for me now. If it was me getting sick, I'd be like, well, sure, but like I don't want like my mom or dad or sister to get sick. So no,
Nice.
no magic man.
He says, "You have a good heart,
Thanks.
sir." He's impressed by where you must draw your lines. And he says, "All right, I will give you one more challenge. And if you perform it bravely enough, you will receive that magical, amazing prize that I told you about."
Cool.
He magics you to the airport.
The airport.
Outside on the runways.
Oh, no.
It's like a busy day. There's like a lot of planes coming and going, a lot of planes taxiing around full of grumpy people.
Oh, no.
And he says, "Your challenge, I will soon begin playing the song Ice Ice Baby very loudly so that everybody in the area, even if they're in a plane, can hear it.
Okay.
And you must dance a dance to that song
Okay.
very enthusiastically for 10 minutes. And then he snaps his fingers and you are suddenly wearing very sparkly swimsuit.
Yeah.
And that's it. Just some swim
Nice.
trunks. They're very sparkly. They're very sharp,
Cool.
actually.
Nice.
You kind of like
Very
them.
sharp.
Why am I at the airport?
I don't know.
I'm on the runway. Can anyone even see me?
Yeah,
Yes,
lots. Because
yes,
all the planes
because
are
all these
taxiing
planes
around.
are taxiing
Okay.
around. So, and they hear the music, so they start looking out the windows like, what's going on? And then they see this man, Mike Larson, wearing his sparkly swim trunks,
Michael J. Larson,
getting down.
valedictorian?
So it's very cold.
Yeah.
And he also wants to see like some flair. Like he's like, if you phone this in, I am taking this prize and I'm going to another guy.
Don't phone it in,
This is
Mike.
your last chance.
Yeah, this is a real thinker. Well, see, the thing is, if 10 minutes is long, because especially if I'm only wearing swim trunks and it's that cold still, and the airport does not offer much protection on the runway.
No.
So I know in previous Would You Rather, I did not want to do an embarrassing dance at a school that I worked at.
A song as well.
However, I feel like this context is different. Like at the airport, even though it's like more people, maybe, like I probably don't know any of them. Maybe, and if I do, there's probably only a couple.
They do have cell phones though.
Yeah,
This
you
might
are
make,
going
viral.
it might make the
You
news
are
or
going
whatever.
viral.
So in this context, though, I feel like it would just be so wild.
Yeah.
Rather than the more familiar context of like a school where I'm doing an embarrassing dance. It's like, I got to live with this. Like these people. In an airport, it's like I do this once. People are going to be like, that was nuts. Like, so even if my dance skills are not that impressive, I think I'm going to go for it just because like in the previous parts of this, the Magic Man has kind of magicked like me with different clothes. And so I feel like maybe any frostbite damage incurred would be possibly healed. So I'm just going to go for it. You know, yes, year of yes, 2019. Let's go.
Ice baby.
Ice baby. So the song isn't quite 10 minutes long. So I think he starts it over at one point.
He plays Under Pressure by Queen as well.
And nobody knows the difference. It's great.
They're the same.
Everyone loves it. You definitely don't phone it in. There's a lot of people filming it. You're going to go viral. But the nice thing is most of them are far enough away that it's kind of like when somebody streaks on a football field and like there's videos of this naked guy running around. It's like, but
the
you
bits
can't like
aren't,
see.
Yeah.
And your bits are safe under the sparkles. So it's okay.
It's a big show.
Yeah, it's a big show. He claps after you finish. I think you probably like did the splits at the end, like right on the last note. You were like, bam.
Yeah, right.
And you found that somehow as you danced, you gained dancing powers you didn't know you had.
Oh, wow.
Because you were overcoming your fear of dancing in front of people, which may or may not actually be a fear you have. But and he was like, wow, bravo, clap, clap, clap. And every time he claps, there's a little explosion and like a flower comes out because he's doing some more magic.
Okay.
And then he sprays you in the face with a flower that's on his jacket.
That's not even a magic trick.
No, also he's not walking anymore. He's hopping because he's cut in half. So he's just hopping on the bottom of his torso.
That's
but he's
fine.
very pleased. He takes off his top hat and reveals your house. You look inside and you see your home. And he says, jump on in. You've done it. Your prize is waiting in the kitchen.
Oh, great.
And so you jump in and you're back in the kitchen.
Okay.
And you look around and you don't see, it's like, well, there's nothing big. And then you look next to the microwave, there's a new machine that you've never seen before. And the machine has a button that says, give me that money, and a button that says, I want something for my tummy.
Are you trying to rhyme money and tummy?
I'm trying.
That.
Did it. And then of course you find out when you push give me that money, it gives you an amount of money between $20 and $50 once per day.
Okay.
And if you press give me something for my tummy, you receive a product from Taco Bell at random.
Okay, I like
it could be anything, that. But
just a side of beans.
Yeah, it could be anything. We don't know, but it's a fun little game.
That was worth it.
Yeah, definitely. You received a prize that'll keep you going, keep you sustained. You get 3 yummies for your tummy a day.
Oh,
too.
okay.
Yeah,
so the breakfast foods are available.
Yeah.
Right.
Depending on the time of day, it'll provide you an adequate, an appropriate meal.
That's a good prize, and you braved it, and you did it. The only downside is that one cool guy thinks.
Is that his
name?
Yeah, that's his name. One cool guy.
His name.
Yeah, one half cool guy.
I mean, that's the only name he ever tells you. He thinks that this experience has made you guys like BFFs.
Okay.
And you can like tolerate him, but like it's a little bit much. And he like shows up unannounced a lot. He does like magic tricks. He like somehow always manages to like pop in when you're on a date and like we'll do a magic trick and be like, he thinks he's like talking you up. Like he's like, oh, Mike is a great man.
So
you don't
brave.
know what he's done. Like, and it actually just makes things a little awkward.
Know what he's done.
But
jeez. You have no idea the shit this guy's done.
you got your prize. So it's mostly good, but you do have that kind of awkward friendship to deal with now.
That's
good job,
fun.
Mike.
Good job.
Yay.
Good job, me.
We managed to like check all this sort of
I feel like
scary
there were
boxes.
2 braveries, though.
Well, the nice thing is the second bravery was social bravery because he knew he wasn't going to get
true.
cold.
That's true.
And he knew that like the first one was, am I brave enough to like stand the test of my body?
Fortitude.
And then the second one was, am I brave enough to reach into a hole, the unknown?
Yeah.
And then the third one was a test of mind, but it was really a test of love and heart. Then the fourth one was a test of
Pixar.
social bravery.
You listening?
Hey, Pixar.
One cool guy.
This segment on our podcast is called If I Were You, where we recommend things we like. If we were you, we would do them. And then you would do them too, because we are you in this scenario.
Sure are.
I mentioned it earlier, but on theme of cold, I want to recommend the show The Terror. I feel like it got a little lost in the shuffle of like all of the TV shows that are always out there. And that's fair. it also like is maybe a little more deliberately paced.
There it is. Nailed
than
it. Got it in one.
Other more like sensational shows, I guess. No. Plus, it's a cast of like all white British men, which is like, oh, okay. But really, honestly, the show is about like the folly of white men leadership. Like it's like them constantly being like, oh, we're so cool and exploring the world and like we make good choices always and God is on our side. And then like it explores themes of like racism and classism and like, but it also is a great like Arctic adventure horror story and really beautifully filmed and like well done. So yeah, and right now, I mean, if you want to wallow in the cold weather here in Minnesota like we are, you might as well throw that on and see how much worse it could be.
Throw some terror on the fire.
Yeah.
Mine is a cold drink that I want you to try. And it's not specific. I'm going to give you a big palate. But I want you to drink either some sort of, in my experience, alcoholic beverage, although it could be non-alcoholic, with like jalapeno or habanero infused vodka or gin. I love a spicy alcoholic drink. Ooh. It is real good. And it's not for everyone. I know that's a thing that, you know, not everybody's into. It's so fun, especially if you're making it like making kind of a Moscow Mule, but then you put you dice up some jalapenos and you muddle them in the bottom. So tasty. It really gives it that nice bite. And I like things that keep me from drinking drinks too fast. And spice is one of those things. So I want you to drink a cold drink that'll heat you up inside.
It's exciting.
It is exciting.
If I were you, I would read the book You Can't Touch My Hair by Phoebe Robinson. It's not particularly new. In fact, she has another book out already that I also want to read, but I still hadn't read the first one that she wrote, and I thought I should do it. She's a comedian. She probably is best known for being on the podcast, which is now over, Two Dope Queens, which I've also recommended. Oh, yeah. She's been in some movies now. She's so funny, so refreshing, so smart. And the book is just some short essays about her experiences being a Black woman, being a comedian. It's great because it's about things that I think a lot of white people should read about. She talks about some like really serious, important issues, but she's also so funny. And you know how sometimes a comedian is really funny in person, like live, and then their writing is just doesn't quite get to the same level as funny? Not the case for her.
Good.
I laughed out loud so much. It was just lovely, and I learned a lot, and I laughed a lot, and I think everybody should read it. It's a real quick read. You Can't Touch My Hair by Phoebe Robinson.
Wow.
Hey listeners.
Hi.
Hey. Hey, what's up?
Hey.
Can I talk to you for a second? If you want to find us on the internet, which you should go to Facebook, where you can like our page, Hypotheticast. We also have a Facebook group now called the Hypotheticast Fan Collaboratory. You can join that group for even more fun. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram. You could email us, hypotheticast@gmail.com, or go to our wonderful website, hypotheticast.club.
Also, we love reviews of our podcast. Please be honest. Give us honest criticisms. But just typing out a review and leaving us a rating on iTunes or the podcast app. Or just tell your friends about us. Share the name of the podcast and what it is like. Describe it to your friends and maybe they will listen. And we will appreciate that.
Wow, yes, we will. Thank you to Jaden James and the Hunger for the use of their song Killin' It from their album Raw. That song just gets me every time. Thank you to Christian Hagen for his logo that he made for us. And if you're real thirsty for the sweet, sweet tones of our voices on Tuesday night and you don't have plans, 7 p.m. every Tuesday night, we are on Radio 5 Watt. It's a locally focused music, arts, and culture internet radio station that streams 24 hours a day from their radio desk in Northeast. It's great. They're from a coffee shop, and they play really good local music, and they also play a really good local podcast. Ours, hey. Every Tuesday at 7 p.m., you can hear our episodes early. That's a good 12 hours before they go up on the pod catchers of the world. So if you want to gather around the hearth and do that sounds fun. If you want to just listen to Radio 5 Watt because they got good tunes, do that too. And of course, thank you, as always, to the listeners for being lovely and being participatory and being great people that I wish I was friends with.
But you're not with any of them.
Last segment, no questions asked. This is the segment where we ask one question and then no more questions. This question comes from Joe Home. Would you rather that spiders loved cold weather or that snakes did?
Snakes.
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 Thank you, listeners. Stay warm. Stay cute.
Eat a hot orange.
Be frozen for all eternity.
Yeah, cryo-freeze yourself. Just try it.
Works every time.
I mean, it hasn't not worked yet.
Yeah, we don't know.
I'm marching, marching, 'cause I'm killing it. I'm killing it. I'm killing it. I'm killing it.
I don't know. They did give it to us, though. Like, we were just like, can we have dry ice? I tried to do that actually last year for when I was at a school. We're just trying to think of different science stuff. And I was like, maybe we could use this. I tried to do the same thing. And it actually almost worked, except for the guy that was their dry ice handler or whatever, like, wasn't there. Like, oh, you got to talk to Vinny. And I was like, where's Vinny? And they were like, oh, he's not here. But, like, they were going to give me dry ice again.
We got a guy.
So, yeah.
Did you say, don't you know who I am?
Yeah, haven't you heard of me?
I was valedictorian.